Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about beginner tips for how to make spray paintings like this. Space things. We all like space. Space is cool. That's why we like it. And so you're going to learn how to paint it. And I'm going to help you with that. First, let's talk about materials. The first thing you're going to need to start painting is something to paint on and something to paint with. I use this mixed media paper to paint on. It's 11 inches by 14 inches, works super well. You can also get glossy paper from Walmart or wherever you can find it. And for paint, I use two paints. 2X Rust-Oleum is awesome. It's cheap and you can get it in a lot of places and it works very well. I also use this gold spray paint. It's a little more expensive and artsy, but it's cool because there's a lot more like caps that you can switch off and put on and get different amounts of flow, and it's generally meant for more fine art, but both work very well, and sometimes I use both of them in the same painting. The next things you'll need are bowls and stencils or anything that you're going to need to use to make shapes. So it's good to have some kind of cheap bowls lying around that you'll use to paint over. They're going to get dirty, so they should be dedicated for painting. And you can cut out stencils with paper. I have this heart that worked pretty well for something I did. So have some things like that lying around. You can always make new shapes that you need, so just do some cutting. The last thing that you should have to get started at least is some glossy paper. I use this newspaper type stuff, except it's more like the advertisements you get or coupon books or whatever, but it's kind of glossy, so it smushes the paint around a little bit, which is why you want the glossy. And you'll be crumpling it up and using it to make textures in paintings. When starting a new painting, you're first going to pick some stencils and then lay them out. Here I used a bowl and a lid to a paint can. This bowl isn't really ideal because of how wide the rim is, but the paint can lid is a lot better for that because of how thin it is. The next thing you're going to do is just place the bowls wherever you want the planets to be. Then you're going to spray some paint around the bowls, take the bowls off the page, and fill the gap that you've left with whatever colors you'd like. At this point you should have pretty much a shapeless cloud of cool colors. And to give it shape, we're going to put a bowl on top of it, spray around it with the background color, take off the bowl, and marvel at the beauty of the thing you've created. And this is only one of 4 types of planets that I'm going to show you how to make today. The next planet follows the same structure, except you just have to add one step towards the end. Before you put the bowl down to define the shape, you're going to spray a top layer of paint above the base layer of paint you've just painted. Then you're going to take your glossy newspaper, crumple it up, and press it gently to the painting just like this, and peel it off. You're going to have to do it a few times because it usually doesn't cover the whole painting the first time. And you can dab on the edges like this to clean it up. Then, just like the first one, you'll put the bowl down, spray around it, pick up the bowl, and stand in awe of how cool the thing you've made is. Shading goes a long way in making these planets look realistic. So if you're looking to up your game a little bit, you can spray some black on one side of the planet, some white on the other, touch it up a little bit, and you've got yourself a pretty cool looking planet. The next planet I'm going to show you how to make follows the same basic structure as the ones before. Except this time, instead of just putting your colors in the middle of the circle you've created, you're going to make a color palette on the side, crumple up a newspaper, and swipe it across. For a bigger planet like this, it might take a lot more swipes than it would for a smaller planet, and you might even have to reapply the color palette and keep swiping until you have the desired effect. But once you're satisfied, you can put the bowl down, spray around it just like before, and you end up with something extremely awesome that you can awe at. The next type of planet I'm going to show you is more of a concept really, and that is that anything can be a planet. And to prove that, I'm going to make a planet out of the heart stencil I showed you earlier. To do this, I actually utilized multiple different ways of making planets. What I mean by that is I put my bottom coat down, and then I made a color palette on the side and dragged it across. This would give the heart a really unique texture. Then I put the heart down and sprayed a different color around it. The heart doesn't fully fit in the circle we made in the first step, but that's okay, it doesn't really matter for this example very much. Since I was happy with the shape, I decided to spray the background around it so I could see what it would look like as a planet. It looked okay as it was, but it didn't look really realistic enough for me, so I decided to take a few steps to give it a little more texture and shading. I used my finger to flick some paint onto it to give it some crater-like looks. Then I shaded it, put the bowl on, and created a nice little background for it so that when I took the bowl off, it would have something to sit in front of. I thought it looked pretty good, but I decided that for an example, I would show you how to make some clouds. Clouds are super simple and easy, and they're a really great way to class up your painting. So I started by cutting out a cloud stencil with this piece of paper. It does not have to be perfect because in the end, you're not really going to notice any little mistakes or anything like that. Then I used the cloud stencil to put clouds in front of the planet. It's important that you move it around a lot so that it doesn't look like it's a stencil, so that it keeps its kind of unique and natural looking texture. It's not lying if it's art, am I right? Then I accidentally hit the camera with my paint can. So that was cool. So yeah, anyways, I hope you found this helpful. Like and subscribe if you want more. Let me know in the comments if there's anything specific that you want to learn, and I'll try and figure it out and teach it. So yeah, I'll see you next time.